As you know, COVID-19 has led many companies to recommend that employees work from home. For many of us, working from home is a new reality and one that takes time getting used to. It's not by choice that we're working from home, but rather by necessity because of government regulations. Let me talk to you from my personal experience. I work in a bank, as I mentioned before, and I've been working from home for over 2 months. I was very fidgety at start, not used to staying in one place. I'm always used to being in meetings, walking into people, especially that I'm in the human resources. I'm basically accustomed to the traditional corporate way of working. Now, after a couple of weeks, I kind of got into the routine and I made some adjustments to my work from home mode, and it's working for me. This disruption or pandemic has allowed us to think outside the box, work agile, and leverage a lot on technology. More than 70% of our workforce is working from home in the bank. Now, I say bank in quotations because it's one of those sectors where you would expect people to be on premise because of the customer-facing roles, the branch network, call center, collections, so on and so forth. But we made it happen, and so did many banks. What helped us implement remote working was that we had the right infrastructure and the technology to help push our digital agenda and drive towards automation and digitization. Anyhow, I'd like to give you some tips that I believe would help to keep yourself accountable, collaborative, and productive while you're working from home. Tip number 1. Get into the morning routine ASAP. The beauty about leaving the house and going to work is that it's rhythmic in its nature. You get into the car, you drive, you put on your music. But that routine goes away when you're at home. You may have slower starts and later ends. You think you have gotten the freedom with your boss not being around, but freedom without routine can lead to procrastination and being unproductive or being busy on the wrong things. Set alarm and wake up at the same time every single morning, not when your first meeting starts. Take that shower, have coffee, and change into regular clothes. I have a friend I know who dresses up every day and spends time putting makeup and doing her hair when she works from home. It energizes her. That ritual of changing out of what you were sleeping in and putting something helps your brain mentally, and you will start on the right foot. Your clothes impact not only how others see you, but how you will see yourself, think, and behave. The second tip is find your spot. After I started working at home, I started jumping around the house to find the right comfortable spot, from the dining table to the sofa to my bed. I ended up ordering my own desktop and chair from IKEA, and I assembled it with some help. That gave me the work vibe that I needed to be productive, and it became my spot. I check in, get things done from 9 a.m. and check out at 5 p.m. and don't visit that spot again till the next morning. It also helps if you decorate it and look after the aesthetics. Maybe have a lamp, a plant, whatever you would put in your actual office. Maybe even a family frame. Trust me, psychologically it helps and gets you excited about using your desk the next day. The third tip would be beware the temptation to work when you shouldn't. Don't think about when you will get the next email or response, and be presently focused with people at home, whether it's your spouse, siblings, or parents even, because the worst thing is if they talk to you and you're not with them. That can slowly lead to relationship problems. The fourth tip would be know what you're supposed to be doing. Time is precious, so let's not waste it. You could be more efficient in delivering an 8-hour work in 6 hours. Have you heard of the 80-20 rule? It's basically when you have 80% of your results coming out of 20% of your tasks. So leverage on that, rethink your to-do list, reduce time drain from miscommunication. Complete tasks in batches. And of course, prioritize, multitask. The fifth tip would sound like a cliche, but it's actually very important. Choose to eat healthy, or well. Now that you're not in office, there's not going to be any more morning donuts or meeting cupcakes or cake for Sarah who's having a birthday. At least I know where I work, we had around 3 to 4 birthdays every single month, so you can imagine the calorie intake and the sugar. No more vending machines or sodas or things you can grab quickly. You would sometimes go out for lunch with your coworkers and use this excuse that you tell yourself, I might as well grab that double cheeseburger. It's not going to do any harm. But now that you're at home, you have the option to choose healthier food. Your body will show it, and drink lots of water. Keep yourself hydrated. Tip number 6. Take lots of breaks. This is pretty obvious to you, and although initially you'll think you'll do it, sometimes you won't. When I say breaks, I mean mental breaks and physical breaks. Get outside. Remove yourself from the work environment. Although you might be clinging on some deadline, it might feel difficult to do so, but you need to. You'll be better off taking breaks, and I promise you, you'll be stronger. Your breaks could be just a 10 or 15 minute walk. It could be a 10-minute social media break, maybe even a nap. So the good thing about working from home is that the commute from office to your bed is literally 2 to 3 steps. And taking a conference in another room isn't counted as a break because it's still work. I actually started taking video gaming breaks. I'm developing a new skill here during quarantine that I never knew I had. And it helps me escape work, enjoy a little, and come back re-energized. And I use it as a means to reward myself sometimes. Tip number 7 would be schedule all parts of your day, but remain flexible. The calendar is sort of your best friend when you're working from home. If it doesn't get scheduled, it doesn't get done. You're probably having your meetings already in your calendar, but there are things you'll need to schedule. Put in a block of time for your morning routine, not to the level of detail of when you'll pour yourself coffee or take shower, but include your morning exercises, your stretching, your meditation. Then schedule your work hours. You put guidelines, but you remain flexible. And this is key because you might get interruptions. And okay, you might have kids as distractions too at home, but understanding that you might be interrupted once in a while and having the freedom to be able to attend to these interruptions is important, as long as it doesn't derail you to be productive at home. Next would be scheduling your breaks. If you don't put them there, guess what? It's not going to happen. And put in a checkout time also. Having a specific end time is key to create those boundaries. Also, when you have an end point and know that you need to check out by a certain time, that in itself will maximize your efficiency to meet that time. Finally, schedule time with your loved ones. It's very important to me to schedule my regular Zoom meetings with my friends after I check out from work and just chit-chat about everything but work. Also, when your friends or your spouse, your kids, your loved ones know they will get you at a specific time, it is less likely they will interrupt you during work hours. So it's a win-win situation. Now we've reached tip number 8, which would be controlling how you intake the news. The media, especially in times of crisis, can definitely throw us off and just mess with our heads. Typically, I'd recommend not to check the news because sometimes it's toxic. However, I understand in crisis sometimes it's important to do so and to just have a pulse of what's going on. Here's what I'd recommend. No news is good news. So rather than wondering, just wait at the end of the day and set a time to check the news. Put it in your calendar. And if you have a friend that you want to entrust with this responsibility and know that the person would only call you if there's a 999 emergency, then delegate. So rather than you checking on the news every time, the news would come to you, and only the news that is important and filtered. Number 9, connect with people face to face. Working from home or remotely can be extremely lonely. Not having connections around you, chit-chat by the pantry, by the corridor, etc. We being humans, we thrive on connection. That's a survival mechanism. So how do we do that when we're working remotely? We have our emails, internet, text each other, Twitter, but it's not the same. That's why no matter who it is, see if you can connect through voice or face-to-face using Zoom, Skype, or even Microsoft Teams. That allows you to see the other person. And just seeing the other person or hearing their voice goes a long way. Like there's someone else out there in the world who feel realness versus you just text someone and receiving a text back. There is no genuineness in it. So if possible, find a regular group of people you can connect with face to face, like virtual working buddies. Now the last tip for the day, and the most important one, would be to communicate as much as possible with people around you. Communicate your schedule. Give people access. Just because you're isolating doesn't mean you have to be isolated. Communicate with your loved ones so that you both come to an understanding, because if you create it yourself, you don't share it, that's not fair to the other person too. And it can benefit you. It can actually benefit the other person to know if you're on work mode. You need to set the expectations. Even kids pay attention, care, and understand. In fact, it's better to over-communicate than under-communicate. This was a struggle to me because I end up having my own little world. It's hard to sort of remind people what I'm doing and when. You can ask your kids, your partner, what they're doing. Therefore, communication can lead to collaborative effort and a better workforce, household, and relationships.